Yes, people, welcome back to Let's Talk Premier League. We're here for a new show. It's called The Scout. Actually, what have I called it? The Data Scout. Something like that. It's something like that. I've brutally fucked that up. Brutally messed that one up. But yeah, basically, the aim of this show is the Data Scouting Show. That's what I called it. Basically, the aim of this show is to put together all of the stuff that I've collected in terms of the data, the right players to look for, everything, all of that. I've put it into a presentation. So basically, I'm acting as if I'm the director of football at Old Trafford, right? I'm acting as if I am in charge of all the stuff at Old Trafford. I'm in charge of getting all of the reports together and all of that lovely stuff. That is what I'm sort of acting upon. That's sort of what I'm saying. That's sort of how I'm gonna treat this. But basically, what we're going to do is we're going to put together all of the information that we've got, and we're just going to go from there. We're just going to go from there. Essentially, that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at all of the stuff that I've collected. I've got lots of stats for you, lots of things that I've spent ages doing this. I'll put it into a lovely sort of presentation for you guys, and then at the end I'm going to give my recommendation. Who do I think Manchester United should go buy? This is purely data driven. I have looked at some of the eye test sort of things, but that's not what we're basing it today. We are looking solely on data, right? So if data is boring, I'm going to make it more entertaining for you. If you spend ages looking around, you're like, oh my God, mind blowing. The amount of stuff, the amount of figures you're looking at, then come here. Sit right here, sit back, have a cup of tea or whatever you're drinking and enjoy, because I've got plenty of stuff that we're going to go through today. It'll be however long it is, but get your comments in as well. I want to interact with you through this. If there's something you don't agree, I've got all of my stuff from online, so go online and have a look where I've got it from. But basically, that's what we're doing. It's as if I've sent a load of scouts out. Right? A load of scouts have gone out. They've gone all over Europe. I've got some English ones in there as well, and we're just going to collect. I've collated the data. I've put it into a sort of presentation for you guys, and we'll go from there. Villa striker as a backup to Watkins. I'll have a look at that for you at some point. Next, I think I'm looking at Chelsea's DMs. Then I'm going to look at right backs for Arsenal. So some interesting ones to keep your eyes out for there. But Villa striker as a backup to Watkins, I will definitely have a look at. Fabrizio saying, yeah, I doubt that's true. I do doubt that's true. But thank you for watching. But please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. So let's get straight into it. As I said, I've put it all into a presentation, and if you're a United fan, you're a little bit nervous before the final today, then this will take your mind off it. Take your mind off it by having a little look at some data. Big up to Charles. Yes, now big up. Big up to Niall, lad. Thank you, Max, and thank you, Charles, as well. So let's get straight into it. Let's look at what we're going to have a look at today. So today is the data analysis of Manchester United's centre-back this summer. Who do I think United should go for this summer? That is the aim of the game today. So I've got all the information. I've even done player profiles. The effort I've done for this, and you can use this. You don't even have to be a United fan. You could be a Chelsea fan, because I know Chelsea are looking at centre backs. Well, guess what? Here is what I've got for you. So let's look at the player information. Let's start with the basics. Let's start with the basics of the player information. So I've got their age, their value, the amount of appearances they've made, because that's crucial. It's not just about their age in terms of experience. It's what they do in terms of appearances. That's what you want to look at. Their strong foot and their height. So let's look at Botman to start with. He's 21 years old. He's £25 million is his value. He's made 90 appearances. He's a left footer and he's 6'4". Raphael Varane, 28 years old. His value is 63 million. He's made 259 appearances. He's right-footed, 6'3". Pau Torres, obviously 24 years old, 45 million, 166 appearances. Strong foot is his left, and he is 6'4". Koundé, obviously 22 million, 22 years old, 54 million pounds, 160 appearances, right-footed. You'll see a lot of right-footed here. You'll see a lot of right-footed, and Koundé's 5'10". Don't let that deceive you, though. Just because he's a short ass bastard, don't let that deceive you at all. Ben White, he is 23 years old. He is 22.5 million pounds, the same as Ben Godfrey. So both of them, same age, same value. But Ben White's made 199 appearances compared to Ben Godfrey's 205. Both right-footed, and Ben White is 1 inch taller than Ben Godfrey. And Harry Maguire, 28 years old, Manchester United captain. 36 million pounds is his valuation, which surprised me a little bit, I won't lie to you. He's made 442 appearances, right-footed, 6'4". Very experienced centre-back there. And Victor Lindelof, the other partner to Harry Maguire in that United defence, he's 26 years old. He's worth 21.5 million. He's made 369 appearances. He's right-footed, and he is 6'2". So all of this, which is decent. That's a decent amount of info for you. Shao saying Conte has left Inter Milan. Fucking hell, you serious? Is that serious? Mad. That is mad. Big up Lewis. RJ, hello Niall. Hello RJ. Torres and Maguire would be serious. I'll get into that. I don't agree with you in the slightest. I disagree massively. Two defenders, both 6'4". Yeah, that's not what I'd be going for. That's mad. That is mad. Conte has left Inter. I reported that in Transfer Talk that he was thinking about it. Well, Lukaku to Chelsea's just got a lot stronger. That's for sure. Yeah, I'll tell you why I don't agree with you at the end of the show, because yeah. Pau Torres, he's not my vote. We'll get into why. We'll definitely get into why. But player profiles. Let's have a little look at Sven Botman to start with. It's in order of how I looked at them. Here is the player profile of Sven Botman. His strengths are aerial duels, passing, and concentration. He has no significant weaknesses to report on. That's decent. So United's main issues are set pieces. Well, aerial duels will help with that, as will concentration and his passing. If you haven't actually looked at passing or Sven Botman, look at Sven Botman. Trust me, look at Sven Botman. Some of his things that he does on a football pitch is incredible. Incredible, I tell you. So make sure you check out Sven Botman. Amazing passes, very long passes as well. He can pick out a beautiful pass, a long ball, and that will unlock a team. He is absolutely delightful when he's pinging them passes around. A very talented young lad is Sven Botman. RJ saying you want Ben White. I'm not saying. Look, I've got my prediction right at the end, but I'm not going to tell you who it is. Have a guess though. Have a guess. If you are watching, guess who you think I want Manchester United to go and get. I'm a director of football at Old Trafford. Tell me who you think I've picked as the partner to Harry Maguire, because that is obviously who the partner is going to be. But Sven Botman, very, very good. And it's exactly what you need. His strengths really will help you with set pieces. Aerial duels, he's tall. He can concentrate. Everything you need in a fucking centre-back at the moment. Everything Victor Lindelof is not. Let's look at Raphael Varane, though. He's a lot older. 7 years older, in fact. He's got one strength, which is passing. He's very good at passing. His weakness, though, is tackling. That would be a slight concern, but not overly concerning. But it would be concerning considering who you're going to put him next to. And I'll get to that one in a second. There's a reason why it's probably not ideal to get Raphael Varane. And I'll tell you why in a second. Weakness, though. What I want you to do with Varane, and because you're going to be partnering him next to Maguire, take into account his weakness, and it will make a lot of sense why Varane might not be your best option, right? Because the name's great. The name is great. What a great idea to get Raphael Varane. Keep that weakness in your head. That's all I'm going to say. Let's look at Pau Torres, though. Again, the weakness. Look at the weaknesses. Passing. His strengths are passing and blocking the ball. That's very good. His weaknesses, though, are aerial duels and tackling. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. That is basically a younger version of Victor Lindelof. That's all I'm going to say. Take into account his weaknesses. Aerial duels. How many times do we see Victor Lindelof bullied off the ball? Plenty of times we see Victor Lindelof bullied off the ball in an aerial duel. Pau Torres, very similar there. Tackling. Take into account tackling as well. And that will be why I don't think you should go and get Pau Torres. But I'll explain a little bit more in a second on these. I'm going briefly over these player profiles. That is what we're doing. Jules Koundé, 22 years old. He's the short ass. He's 5'10". But his strengths are passing, aerial duels, and concentration. This this youngster may be he's quite a short lad. My God, is he good at an aerial duel? He's got a bloody good leap on him, that's for sure. And concentration, again, the concentration. But look at the weaknesses again. The weakness is tackling. Only Sven Botman at the moment doesn't have a weakness in tackling. That is going to be key. That is key going forward, especially considering that might be one of ways. So it's definitely a weakness in your defense right now. That's for sure. Is the tackling element of United. Let's look at the player profile of Ben White, though. Ben White, lots of strengths and a couple of weaknesses. His strengths are passing the ball, interceptions, and concentration, all crucial as a centre-back. It's going to be very good. Concentration is good. His weaknesses are crossing. I don't know why you'd want your centre-back crossing the ball anyway. Just FYI, he's probably not good on the wings. But one of his weaknesses are aerial duels. Again, a huge concern, considering that is one of the issues with your current centre-back in Victor Lindelof. But he hasn't got a weakness in tackling. That will come down as a benefit. That is for sure. Let's look at Ben Godfrey now. Ben Godfrey is the next person to have a look at. His strengths are blocking the ball and tackling. That is a very good thing for you. Sven didn't have a strength in tackling, but it's not a weakness. So clearly that just shows he's a bit average at tackling. But Ben Godfrey, a strength is tackling and blocking the ball. Again, no real significant weaknesses to be talking about. That's fairly decent. But don't forget, Ben Godfrey, English, will have English tax with him. But if what was said a few months ago, that Harry Maguire wanted an English-speaking centre-back, Ben Godfrey might be a good idea. But we'll explain that in a second. Harry Maguire. Let's look at the player profiles of the both United centre-backs that Ollie has used this season. Strengths are aerial duels, passing the ball, and interceptions. That's good. Well, it's ball interception. I don't know why it's done that. But yeah, his strengths are aerial duels, passing, and ball interception. That's decent. His weakness is tackling. I told you, if you're watching, bear in mind Varane and Torres and Koundé's weaknesses. All of their weaknesses were tackling. You do not want two centre-backs, neither that can tackle. Will not go well. We've seen it with United this season. We have seen it with United this season. Because let's have a look at Victor Lindelof, shall we? Victor Lindelof. Oh, Victor. His strengths are passing and concentration. Well, sort of. I would probably be umming and ahhing over concentration bit of set pieces. His weaknesses are tackling and aerial duels. Now, I searched loads of places. No one wanted to say he had an issue with aerial duels. He fucking does. Victor Lindelof has one of the worst parts of aerial duels I've seen. He's absolutely, utterly shocking at it. Utterly shocking at his aerial duels. That's just a fact. Aerial duels is one that is his problem. So we've looked at all of the player profiles, right? So we've looked at Harry Maguire, Sven Botman, Jules Koundé, Varane, Pau Torres, Ben White, Ben Godfrey, Harry Maguire. We've looked at all of these people. We've looked at all of the player profiles. So far, who do you think I'm picking? This is the question I want you to answer. Who do you think at the moment is my recommended pick? Don't forget, I'm acting as if I'm the director of football at Old Trafford and I'm going to be picking your next centre-back. That is what I'm doing. That's what I'm assuming. That is how we're going to do this. It's a bit of a fun series, something that I'm enjoying. So tell me who you think my picks, or my pick. I've only picked the one for my recommendation. So do check out who you think I'm going to recommend that we go that you go get. Let's look at the data, though. Let's actually look at the data. This is the tackling and interceptions. Now, I do need to bear in mind of these stats. Ben Godfrey and Ben White are going to be active much, much more because of the teams they play for. So, of course, Ben Godfrey and Ben White are going to be topping the tackles per 90 because they play for Everton and Brighton. You must bear that into consideration. The rest of them play for top teams in their leagues. So, the way to do it is probably take away Ben White and Ben Godfrey for tackles per 90, as them stats are going to be a little bit deceiving. What you probably want to do is look at all of the other ones that are playing for top teams in their league. Botman currently topping them with 0.8, the same as Varane and the same as Maguire. Victor Lindelof is on 0.7 as well as Jules Koundé. And at the bottom of that list is Pau Torres. Pau Torres only on 0.5 tackles per game. And I did say that bears straight into his player profile, one of his weaknesses being tackling. Surprisingly, so is Koundé, so is Maguire, and so is Varane. All of these people have a weakness with tackling. Of course, they're all near the bottom. But Ben White and Ben Godfrey don't have that issue. So on terms of tackles, Botman, Varane, Maguire looking like they're the decent ones. But let's look at interceptions. This is a little bit less deceiving because interceptions, that's just you being smart. That's you reading the game very well, being in the right place at the right time. You can see straight to the top Ben White. Ben White is very good at intercepting the ball. Very, very good. He understands where he needs to be. He's good at sort of blocking them passes, really. Blocking the passing lanes. Botman, also very good at it. So is Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire is very good at ball interception, as is Sven Botman. Sven Botman is very, very good at sort of blocking the passing lanes and blocking the ball and intercepting the ball and tackling. Trust me, anyone that needs a centre-back, go look at Sven Botman's compilations on YouTube. Very bloody good defender he is. Harry Maguire right up there of a 1.6 as well. Raphael Varane, there we're 1.2. Koundé, we're 1.1. Ben Godfrey and Victor Lindelof, only one interception per game, per 90. And Pau Torres down the bottom again with a 0.7. 0.7. He makes 0.7 interceptions a game. He's bottom on tackles and interceptions. As a centre-back, hardly an ideal stat to really be walking into. But that is the first lot of stats we're going to look at. So you look at that. At the moment, Botman right up there, as is Varane, as is Maguire. So all of these right up there. Ben White is up there. But as I said, his stats will be a little deceiving because of the team he plays for. He's going to be much more busy, hence him making more tackles per 90. And more interceptions per 90, because Brighton are most likely going to be attacked a lot more than your normal centre-back would. For example, Botman at Lille, Maguire at United. But the fact that Lindelof is near the bottom just shows that Lindelof is not the centre-back that United need, because he is still being exposed far too much whilst not being attacked as often. So that is an issue. The issue is you have to replace Victor Lindelof. But who do you replace him with? That is what we're going to try and find out today. But as I said, get your comments in. I want to interact with you throughout this. And as I say, if you're a bit nervous before the Europa League final, well, this is the place to be. Take your mind off it. Take your mind off it. Sit back, put your feet up and enjoy what we're doing. Let's look at clearances and blocks, though. Right? Let's look at something a little bit more different. And let's look at these. Again, Ben Godfrey, right at the top for these. Ben Godfrey makes 3.6 clearances per game, very similar to Harry Maguire. The difference is blocks per 90, Ben Godfrey right at the top. right at the top with 1.2. Everyone else within 0.7 and 0.5. Again, the look at the blocks per 90. Victor Lindelof at the bottom again. At the bottom again. Not a strength of his is anything really. He hasn't. He's good at passing the ball. We'll get to passing in a minute, but in terms of blocking, not very strong at that as well. Clearances, Botman down on a 3. So in the sort of middle, he's very good at tackling and intercepting the ball. Clearances, he makes less of them, but still very high on a 3. Lindelof making 3.3. Varane making a 3.4. Maguire making 3.5. Down the bottom, Ben White don't clear that ball often, does he? And that is what I'm sensing there. Big up to Chris in the chat. Big up Niall and everyone in the chat. Big up to Chris. Chris, your job is to guess which centre back I think United should go by, or anyone should go by. These are the centre backs that we've got. And we'll go back to our player information in a minute, because player information is a key bit on what we're sort of going to be basing this off. I'm going to try and make it as cost effective as possible as well, because I know that I'm imagining I'm the director of football at Old Trafford. Well, guess what? My bosses are a bit stingy of money. So I'm having to try and be a bit smart on this. So you can straight away rule out Raphael Varane, I think, because I don't think he actually would benefit United, if I'm being completely honest. And don't forget, I would like to move Harry Maguire to the right side of defence. Well, I'm picking a left side of defence. Bear that in mind. As I said, bear that in mind, especially considering only Pau Torres and Sven Botman are left-footed. That is a big hint. A big hint. I'm narrowing this down for you guys. I'm narrowing it down so at the end, you're not shocked by my recommendation. Left-footed centre-back is what I'm looking for here. But these are blocks and clearances per 90. Godfrey at top of both. Ben Godfrey is actually a centre-back I think people sleep on too much. Will he be my recommendation? You never know. I might go full Brexit on this. You absolutely never know. Next up is going to be passing. We're going to have a little look at the passing of these boys. Right at the top, Sven Botman makes an average of 68 passes per game. Jules Koundé making 0.7 passes less than Sven per game, or per 90. Maguire right at the top, near the bottom, and this is the striking difference between these. You see all of the players playing for top teams, right? In terms of Botman, Koundé, Maguire, Torres, and Lindelof. They're all within 5 passes per 90. That's not a huge difference. The massive difference is, look at the bottom of them. Ben Godfrey making 28 less passes per game. 28. Mad, I tell you. That means that can be one of two ways. That means instead of passing the ball, he's clearing the ball. That would actually make sense looking at his clearances of 3.3 per game. I think it's 3.6 per game. Makes a huge telling sign there that he makes that many clearances. When you look at the lack of passes he does per 90, only 40.7 passes per 90. That is mad. That is mad. Ben White on 48.5. So Ben White makes less clearances than everyone else, but he does pass less than everyone else. But let's look at pass accuracy, shall we? Pass accuracy. Some players will be good at passing, some players won't. As long as your pass accuracy is above 85%, then passing is a strength. Raphael Varane topping it with a 90.8% success rate. Very, very good. For me, it's a very, very good. Very, very good there. Very good. Lindelof, very good at passing as well. Most of them will be short passes to McTominay and Fred. So you do bear that in mind. Not many long passes from Victor Lindelof. But Jules Koundé, 89.6% pass success rate. Pau Torres, as much as he's not very good at the basics of defending, his pass success rate, 89.6, very, very good there. 88.9, I mean. Maguire on a nice 88.1. Maguire is the likely of the two to make more risky passes, try and set United on these counters. Victor Lindelof will occasionally do that, but he'll look for the short passes out to Wan-Bissaka or into the midfield of Fred and McTominay. So that's where that comes from. Maguire most likely making them riskier passes, trying to take United that further step. That's why Harry Maguire is a bigger miss than people think. And I didn't think that, so I put my hands up. I got Maguire wrong. That is for sure. But looking at long balls, they're going to be important. Let's look at these long balls per 90. Pau Torres straight away at the top alongside Harry Maguire with 4.5 long balls per 90. Means them two, they're looking to set the attacks. That's clear. So Pau Torres, Maguire, they're the two that are going to set the attack. They're going to push the attack further. Right behind them on 4 is Sven Botman and Varane. 4 long passes per game is still very good. If you think the amount of times that the ball is at the back of United's defence or at Lille's defence or Madrid's defence, 4 long balls is actually not too mad. That's 2 per game. That's actually 2 per half. I mean, that's very good in my opinion. Botman doing very well as Varane. Max saying, imagine Botman and Varane. Wow, what a partnership. Well, think of it for United, Max. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, you're keeping Maguire, so who am I going to pick at the end? Who am I going to pick at the end? Am I picking Botman? Will I pick a Varane? Maybe I'll go for a Torres or a Koundé. Maybe I'll go Brexit and go for a Ben White. But put your thought in the chat and tell me who you think my recommendation is for United. And the telling difference at the bottom of that list is Ben Godfrey of only 1.4 long balls per 90. Makes about 1 a game. So it's not a strength of his long balls. It's not a strength. It's not necessarily a weakness, but he might play a slightly different game at Everton than the others do at their clubs. But not everyone has to be good at long balls, especially if you're partnering him next to Harry Maguire. Right? Because you're partnering them next to Harry Maguire, look at Victor Lindelof down there of 2.2 per game. But because you've got Maguire, you don't necessarily have to have them very good at long balls. It would be ideal because if both your centre-backs can start attacks on either side of your central defence, that is going to start attacks very well. It's going to catch the opposition off a bit. It makes you a lot less predictable when you're attacking. Looking at aerial duels next. Aerial duels, this is the big one that I wanted to look at straight away. Look at Harry Maguire has a total of 5.1 aerial duels per game. Koundé of 4.7. As I said, he's a short ass. Don't let that deceive you. Definitely do not let that deceive you. Botman, though, he has 4.4 per game, right? Look at the other side of that. Harry Maguire leading with 3.71 per 90. Botman actually overtakes. So if you think about it, what I want you to do is I want you to think a little bit. The reason that these are a total and the total that they won, and I've definitely feel like I've messed up. I should have put the totals back down to the lost as well. Harry Maguire leads, right? Harry Maguire leads with 5.1. He also leads the amount won with 3.7. So Harry Maguire very good at them duels. You can see that quite clearly. But Koundé is getting beaten by Sven Botman, right? Koundé has 0.3% more duels per 90 than Sven Botman. But Sven Botman overtakes him in duels 1 per 90 by 0.2. Very, very good for Sven Botman. He outbeats Koundé. Koundé does come third though with 2.8. And here it is. Lindelof 3.1, Varane with 3. Right? And Ben Godfrey with 3 as well. Varane overtakes Lindelof in duels 1 per 90. 0.2% more than what Lindelof does, even though Varane has 0.1% less duels than Lindelof. So he overtakes him. Ben Godfrey doesn't quite overtake Lindelof, but he does drop. He keeps that gap of 1. Right, so Godfrey and Lindelof fairly similar when it comes to their aerial duels. And then look at the bottom one. Pau Torres has 0.4 less aerial duels per 90, but he overtakes Ben White in duels 1 per 90 with a 1.5. Right, so bear in mind, keep the idea of the total duels and that order that they are in. I'm going to now look at duels lost here, and I'm going to go get my PowerPoint because this is what I mean. I definitely missed up because I want that. We go. So duels lost. Maguire has the most aerial duels, and Koundé has second, but Koundé overtakes Maguire in aerial duels lost. Right, that is the big thing. That's the big thing that I want you to have a look at. Ben White is second bottom of aerial duels in total, but he is third with duels lost. That is very bad. That is very bad. Means he's actually not that great at aerial duels. Sven Botman comes in at fourth. Sven Botman actually doesn't lose as many aerial duels as Koundé or Ben White. He is very similar to Harry Maguire in terms of his aerial duels, and only losing 1.4. Very important to tell that. It's very important looking at that. So you see Harry Maguire total leads the totals with Koundé second and Botman third. Botman comes fourth in loss and Maguire comes second. So they both drop down 1, which is good because you don't want to be losing too many aerial duels per 90. Victor Lindelof is fifth in this. He's fourth on here. That just means that he doesn't lose it as many times as Ben White, and that's it. Yeah, Ben White jumps him. So that's why Lindelof is actually down 1, but he does lose 1.1. So he basically he's average, but he's not great at aerial duels. Ben Godfrey comes third in both, fairly average for him. Ben White, as I said, he comes second bottom in total amount of duels he faces per 90, but third with the amount of them that he loses, and he was right at the bottom with duels 1. Right, so that's bad. Ben White not very good with those aerial duels for sure. Raphael Varane right at the bottom. Varane is a machine when it comes to aerial duels. Very rarely loses a duel, and he drops down by 3 places, goes down from 5th down to 8th in terms of these centre backs. That is a huge thing. Looking at that, massive. Varane is a machine when it comes to an aerial duel. I'm hoping that I put aerial duels as one of his strengths. I didn't. I should have done that. That is my bad. Varane is a machine when it comes to aerial duels. But before I give my recommendation on who I think Manchester United should sign as centre-back, let's just process what we've said, what I've said in this stream. So I've said that I want a centre-back on the left side. Ideally for me, I'm going to want a left footer at centre-back. That is my ideal situation for Manchester United. On the other things, I would like someone who can hold their own in an aerial duel. Bear that in mind. I also want someone who can concentrate because of the lack of the issues that Manchester United have at centre-back. Bear that in mind as well. It makes my recommendation very clear. My recommendation will be said in a second. Let's look at personal information again, though, as let's look at the valuations of some of these players. Remember, this is for Manchester United, so you're ideally going to want to get someone with a fairly cheap price, but very good. Sven Botman being the youngest. And nearly the cheapest. He's only worth 25 million. That is because he's fairly young and he's very inexperienced in terms of appearances. But don't forget, you're going to be partnering them next to Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire has 442 appearances in his career. He is awfully experienced at the back of the defence. So the inexperience of a Sven Botman will not be too much of a problem. He's almost at 100 appearances, which, yes, may not be ideal, but he will improve in the future. He also has a higher ceiling than Matthias de Ligt. That is mad considering of his age. Sven Botman would be a good signing, whilst on the other side of that, Raphael Varane is a lot older. He's made a lot more appearances, although do bear in mind that Harry Maguire has played almost double the amount of games as Raphael Varane. They're the same age. That would suggest to me that Varane does have a little bit of a problem staying fit, or he just simply plays less games. That would be a striking concern for me if I'm picking a centre-back. Pau Torres is left-footed though, as is Sven Botman. I did say that it would be for the left, so a preference of a left-footer would be ideal. I wouldn't be against going for a right-footer though, if they were good enough. So Pau Torres, he is going to be worth, he's valued at around about 45 million. You're probably going to be paying around that or more for Pau Torres. For Sven Botman, you're probably looking in the region of 30 to 40 million pounds. Ben White though, Ben White and Ben Godfrey are the same age. They're valued at the same price and they've played very similar amount of games. Both of them are right-footed though. Have the stats convinced me enough that we should go for a Ben White or Ben Godfrey? We'll soon find out. And then, as I said, the two United boys at the bottom, both very experienced. Valuations you don't need to worry too much about unless you're planning on selling Victor Lindelof. I would doubt it. I'll probably be selling Eric Bailly, especially with the information that was said today. And their ages. Both of them are right-footed though. Harry Maguire would be much better if he was able to be on the stronger side of the defence for him, which is on the right. But enough of the stats and enough of all of that. Let's go look at my recommendation for Manchester United. And believe it or not, my recommendation is Sven Botman. The reason I am picking Sven Botman is because he is young. He is only 21 years old with a very, very high ceiling. If you think about his strengths, which are aerial duels, which are concentration, and which is passing, you will see why Sven Botman is my pick. And as I said, if you remember all of the attributes in terms of his stats, he is near the top on all of them. For tackling and interceptions, he is third and second respectively. For clearances and blocks, he is fifth and third respectively. On average passes, he's right at the top of average passes, but his pass rate does let him down. His pass rate makes him sixth, but that is something that you can improve on. His long balls, though, he is third. Remember? And then aerial duels, as I said, he is very good at an aerial duel. He is also 6'4", which would be a great help. RJ said earlier that he would love to see a Pau Torres-Harry Maguire partnership. That is not what I would go for, mainly for the fact that Pau Torres on other things is considerably weaker than Sven Botman. RJ saying two defenders, both 6'4". Sven Botman is also 6'4". So my recommendation for Manchester United, and if I was director of football, I would be saying to Manchester United, I want you to go and sign Sven Botman for the central defence on the left-hand side, moving Harry Maguire to the right-hand side of defence. This is my recommendation. If you don't agree with me, put it in the comments and explain who you would be picking. But my recommendation is Sven Botman. And as I said, there's plenty of reasons why. But we're going to end it there. It's been an absolutely brilliant show. I have thoroughly enjoyed doing all of that. I'm very much a stats person. I love looking at stats and trying to pin them to making a decision. Now, as I said, this is a very data analytical show, so it was all based on data. But as I said, I did look at some of their some of the compilations on YouTube. As I said, I don't pretend to tell you that I have watched every single game of League One or Ligue 1. I also don't try and tell you I've watched all games in La Liga because I simply just don't. So as I said, this is based on purely stats and data But as I said, my recommendation being Sven Botman. But we are going to end it there. Please check our socials out on Twitter at Let's Talk EPL, on Instagram at Let's Talk EPL _ and on TikTok at Let's Talk Premier League. We'll be back, as I say, later on tonight with the match reaction of the Manchester United, Villarreal versus Manchester United in the Europa League final. If you want to check out a watch along over there, I'll be on the first XI at God knows when, probably 8ish. 8ish is when it all kicks off. But as I say, thank you for watching, and until next time, thank you, and I'll catch you in a bit.